staying in India, see, we are getting threatening calls from Pakistan. Sometimes we used to get threatening calls from Bangladesh.
आज लड़ाई हुआ, कल फिर से नहीं हुआ, कोई गारंटी नहीं है कि आज घर में आज किसी का साथ लड़ाई हो गई, झगड़ा हो गया, थोड़ा पीस भी हो गया, फिर कल उसका गुस्सा मेरा ऊपर वापस आएगा कि नहीं, नो गारंटी। तो उसको गारंटी देने के लिए बच्चे को ऐसा सिखलाए कि वो रिस्टोर किया जाए, सस्टेन किया जाए। Explain the necessity and the possibility of the peace and take action in favor of peace. Peace, peace and only peace, nothing but peace. Children, youth and adults should be made to understand the real causes and responsibilities of the past and future conflicts and the economic and political processes that lead, which can lead to war. So students should be taught how conflicts take place, previously how it took, in future how we can take and how we can prevent them. They should be made aware with interdependence of problems existing in societies such as racism, sexism, religiosism and colonialism. These are the ones. Scope and methods of peace education, individual and self-development will take place, school and community level it will go on, national level, global level. Step by step we can go on doing it. Okay. Peace education in school, what we should do in school finally. Develop a more judicious management approach. That old world convent school type approach will not work. No, giving the old world convent type, boy, stand there, boy, move this side, boy, sit over there, boy, don't look this side. That approach will not work. It's okay, आपका लड़का को बताइए, I called the boy and said, sir, what happened? Who told this? He said, Stephen sir was there, Stephen sir was teaching, he said, bloody Sunday. And sir, it is written in the book, Bloody Sunday. Says, bring the book, let me see the book. So the book was brought. Now I read the book. ना आपको मालूम है इसका मतलब क्या है? ये कोई गाली नहीं है, ये उस दिन को डिस्क्राइब किया जा रहा है। उस दिन इतना खून बह गया था साधारण इंसान का कि वो इतिहास में उसका नाम चढ़ गया ब्लडी। जब ज्यादा ब्लड, खून को ब्लड बोलते हैं, मालूम है? हाँ, वो तो मालूम है। तो ब्लड जब निकलता है बहुत ज्यादा ब्लड, ब्लडी बोला, ब्लडी कोई गाली नहीं है, लेकिन अब सब बोलते हैं ब्लडी, तो वो अलग बात है। तो दिस इज द थिंग। जस्ट इमेजिन व्हाट टाइप ऑफ पीपल वी ऑल हैव टू डील विद। आपका स्कूल ने ब्लडी बोल दिया। We can imagine it as a tree with many robust branches. Peace education is comprised of many themes and forms, lot of ideas, lot of things. We have discussed almost everything. To reach peace, that particular line I will take, to reach peace, teach peace. If you want to reach peace in your school, in your individuality, in your student, teach peace. And next will be madams. Yes. 5 minutes break we will have, 5 minutes break. Just walk a little bit. बहुत उल्टा-पुल्टा सुनने पड़ा.
Time, few months back, later, what happens? Miss Nancy is transferred to another school. She leaves the town. She is no more the teacher of this little one. So this little one is very sad. She started Miss Nancy. Her parents, her friends suggested, why don't you write a letter to Miss Nancy? You have the address, and I am talking about the time where WhatsApp, email, messages were not there. Simply writing letters in postcard, envelopes or inland letter cards. So parents, friends suggested, why don't you write a letter to Miss Nancy? So she agreed. The little one, maybe class 2 or class 3, according to her understanding, her knowledge, she wrote a letter to Miss Nancy. The letter was posted by her father. After some days, the reply to her letter was brought by her father. Miss Nancy has replied to her letter. Father gave it to her. The brightness, the smile, the twinkling eyes of the girl could be seen that my favorite Miss Nancy has replied to my letter. She opened the letter. She started reading it. After some time, teachers are to guide them, are to take care of them. Of course, students are not keeping the child at home. They have understood the importance of schools and also the importance of teachers. Parents, they are bearing with 1 or 2 children. Here in the class, there are 40 to 50 children. Teacher over there is responsible. But as an effective teacher, it is my duty, my responsibility to take care of the students, to educate them, full round development of the students as much as possible within that time period. 6 to 7 hours they are spending in the school. After that, the rest of the time they are spending at home. But for this 6 to 7 hours, they are coming to us. They are the most important for the teachers also. So here, the parents are sending whatever kind of child they have. There might be some are very well behaved, some are disturbing. Parents also admit. And in some cases, we have seen the parents are unable to deal with the children. They don't listen to us. He is using the phone. He is playing games. Who is giving the phone? The parent. So the parent doesn't have any control over the child. And teachers are employed for one reason. That is to help students achieve. Students' achievement we will be discussing later on. But simple things, we are there to provide knowledge, education to the students. In a class, if I go and tell the student, you don't know this sum is so easy, you don't know the meaning of this. That means as a teacher I am a failure. I have to give him the correct way to solve the sum or the correct meaning in my teaching. My target will be to educate, to teach all the 40, 50 students in the class. Not a handful who are answering my questions, who raise their hands. So my target will be each and every student. So it is my responsibility again that if a student fails to perform, if we can take the credit for their good results, we should also take the discredit for the students not being able to deliver properly. In the morning, Sinha sir have asked a question, how many of you are teachers by chance and how many are you by choice? I would like to elaborate on that point. I do not believe that each of you in this room are teachers by choice. Be frank, this is just an interactive session. We are having a discussion. So I would like some of you to raise your hands if you have come to this profession of a teacher by chance. Please ma'am, come forward, both of you. Particularly 2 volunteers over here who have come to this profession by choice. That you believe when you grow up, you will complete your BA, you will be a teacher. Chance. So what was your aim? What was your difference?
Actually, my aim was to complete my MBA and go for the official jobs. But unfortunately, due to the lack of finances and financial crisis, I couldn't do that because I lost my father at a very early age. So lastly, I couldn't find any option and I'm a teacher by chance. When I was in class 10, I wanted to be a police officer. When I was doing my class 12, I wanted to secure a job in LIC. When I was pursuing my graduation, it was the subject English, and I was looking forward to be a journalist. But destiny has something else for me. After completing my graduation, I could not get the proper place to pursue the course of journalism, and B.Ed was waiting for me. While I was B.Ed, I was not at all interested. When I was in my POT, I faced the students for the very first time, and to be very honest, first week was really very disastrous. That what I am doing, I actually was not liking. I did not know. Suddenly, one evening I was sitting and I was just thinking about my future, that what I would do after that. I thought. It is better to do whatever you are doing right now, to do with your heart and soul. Next morning when I got up and I was getting ready for my school, I was someone else. I started taking interest in the students, and that very day, actually I found that teaching was not so boring. Gradually I started liking the profession, and today I can say that I am a passionate teacher. So I'm using the word I have to develop a passion for teaching, because I was in this field. That's it.
Student or every child has a dream always, I'll be the doctor, engineer or something. I had also in my childhood. From that time only it was not teacher, but again some incident, everyone's life happens, with me also happened. After class 12, when I had given the Air Force exam, I qualified. But due to medical reason I was disqualified, and after 2 operations also, I could not qualify the medical. So from that time only my choice was to be a teacher. And I have seen my father, he taught me from my entire childhood. So I loved his teaching, method, profession, techniques. It was very sound technique he had. So I loved his technique, and from that time only I decided I want to be a teacher. And whatever technique I have learned from my father, I want to give to my other students. That is why from the graduation, after class 12 only I started doing tuition, and there also I started a lot of new techniques I want to give. And after that master degree and BA, everything I did. And just after doing master degree, I joined to another school. So I have come here by choice. I like to be a teacher.
During my school days, I was very much passionate about the teachers, the way they used to copy. And I used to copy the teachers. I'm very much passionate about them. I just see the way they teach it, the way they love the children, and the most thing, I just love to teach the students, and I love to be with them. I just feel like I'm living in another world. I'm living a childhood again, and this gives to me a teacher by your choice, because I love to be a teacher, and I love children. And this from my childhood time, I just having some interesting teachers, the way they teach, I just used to copy, and I can't remember.
But in my early childhood days, when I used to go to school, there were teachers who had effect on me. Most of the time, it was their beautiful saris and matching churis. That I wanted to be a teacher that time, that I would wear sari and churis and I would look beautiful as they are looking. But today, whenever I visit the classroom, whenever I ask my students what they would like to be in their future, it is really very disheartening that I never get a single student who wants to be a teacher. They have dreams. They want to be engineers, doctors,
chartered accountants, but nobody wants to be a teacher. I was in class 10 and while teaching I was asking the same question. They have a vision, dreams. I asked that why not a teacher? Who will teach the future generation if you don't want to be a teacher? I asked the same question to me. Are we not as effective as our teachers? I just want to share one more thing. Each and every child in their childhood used to play a game that is teacher. Isn't it? Have you seen that? If you will see while they play, you will see that they play these kind of games. They will hold a stick. A role play will be going on when some students will play like teacher. They will beat the students or they will punish their friends, but it is gone somewhere. At least I did not find that in the classroom, that nobody wants to be teacher. So we have to do something for that. I do not know who is more or who is less, but maybe we are not so effective and we have to be. Hope Jolita ma'am will teach us those lessons.
Okay, ma'am. Now we are all standing together, teachers by chance, or if I take teachers by choice. I am also a teacher by choice. Whatever the reasons may be, we are teachers and one responsibility we all have. If I ask you individually, you will be telling the same thing. We are responsible for the students' development. So whatever the reasons that has brought us and all of us to this platform, let us do justice to our jobs. Thank you all for it. Thank you very much. The word nepotism has originated. Nepotism means favoritism to the family members, etc. But what context this word has originated? Can anybody share this answer? This is what we have to learn. This extra. Nepotism, the word has come from the Catholic bishop. The Italian word nephew, nepot. So they used to promote their nephew. So from that word, nephew, nepot, nepotism has arrived. This is what is important. You have to know more than your children. If in the class they ask you certain questions, you should be ready with extra answers to them. I teach English in class 12 and there is one chapter, many English teachers are there, Journey to the End of the Earth. The students find it very difficult, but this chapter itself is simply very interesting. I will not go into the details and start teaching you English of class 12, but in that chapter, what is there? About the Gondwana landmass, Pangea, how the earth originated, how the planet came into existence, etc. 650 years ago, for 500 years, this Gondwana landmass existed. So 650 years ago, 60 million years ago, this Gondwana land existed for 500 million years. We are talking about million years. Now in that chapter, there is one part where it is said that human beings have come into existence for 1200 years only, like a few seconds in the geological clock. So I have raised one point in the class and there was a very healthy debate of this chapter. The debate was, before human beings, there was no change in the planets. The entire climatic change was there, the There was the ice age, then warmth was there. So how is it that human beings are only responsible for global warming because of this heat, ozone layer depletion? It can be a natural process also, and I have got very good responses from my students. So this is what, if you dare to teach, then you must dare to learn. Education is not teaching people what they know, rather education is teaching people what they do not know. As I gave you the example of nepotism, like that there are different words which has come into existence. The word supper. What is the word supper means? What does the word supper means? Anybody please? Very common word, supper. We have the meal, last meal of the day. Sir is absolutely correct. Then what is dinner? Supper is the last meal of the day. Then what is dinner? If you again go back to the original meaning of dinner, dinner is not the evening meal which we eat, but dinner, correct definition is the main meal of the day. You can have dinner in the morning instead of breakfast, you can have dinner in the afternoon instead of lunch. If you read storybooks, that is one of the parts of your questionnaire. Most of you have read Little Women, Louisa May Alcott, Little Women, Good Wives. So you will see in her story, elaborate description is there for dinner which will be served because guests are coming in the afternoon. In all the writing stories of Rabindranath Tagore, you will see he writes supper. Because dinner is the main meal of the day and supper is the last meal of the day. But due to various contexts and all, the meaning has changed. The word brinjal, only we Indians use that word, language. Actual word is eggplant. We Indians use the word brinjal. So like this, you have to dare to know, you have to explore your knowledge and give the students what they do not know. Effective teacher. We all here are effective teachers. There are a few points we will discuss. 3 points rather. It exhibits positive expectations for all students. Already earlier I was saying, positive expectations for all students. It is not that the 90% will get 95% or the 80% will get 85%. But when I will be able to achieve or deliver that the students who are getting 35%, 40%, 60, 70%, then I can proudly say I am an effective teacher. So my expectation should be positive for everyone. This positive approach in the class should be there. You will not be able to see, you will not be able to do. Just now we had a discussion with the 5-4 teachers about by chance and by choice. One of the reasons was there to make the students come up and speak. They are shaky, they will be in your classes, sometimes they might disturb, they will speak ill, they will be sitting at the back. But when you bring them in forward and make them stand beside you and make them speak, then you can understand the children or the student is able to do so or not, and if not, we have to help them out. Now, research shows, all of you must know that it is very difficult for a student, or for all children rather, to concentrate for 40 minutes in a class. For 35 minutes, 40 minutes. After 12 minutes, 15 minutes, their concentration breaks. So what you should do while teaching, you just teach them one part, stop teaching, start asking them what they have understood, otherwise their concentration will break. There are few activities also that you can try with the students. I would like to try with all the teachers here, all effective teachers here. Please all of you stand up. Like this in between the classes, you can do these activities to get the concentration of the students. I request all of you stand up in your places. Rose. Suppose in this hand is your flower, rose. In the other hand, you're holding a burning candle. Burning candle. So what we will do, we will bring the nose near our nose and we will breathe in to get the beautiful smell. Let us try, all of us. Bring the nose near your nose and breathe in to take this beautiful smell. Now you bring the candle in front of you and with your mouth blow it out. Do this for 5 times. Bring the rose in front of you, smell it. Then bring the candle in front of you, blow it with your mouth. Let the students do this activity. In class 12, if I can do these activities and students enjoy, that is the senior most class. So all the classes in between you can do this. Because when you teach, you may feel that the concentration is not there or I am going on teaching some activity suddenly. Please sit down. Management techniques. First and foremost, the class should be under control. Then only I can teach. So to make this, keep this class under control, there should be some technique, there should be some understanding from us as teachers. I will take up some suggestions from you. Suppose some suggestions I will be giving you. Suppose the class is very noisy. They are shouting. We as teachers should not shout. But we can be loud. We have to speak loudly, but we cannot shout. We will not shout. Classroom, be quiet. They will not listen. We have to pinpoint. Jimmy, sit down. Rahul, many Rahuls are there. Don't take it another way. Please come up here. Take particular names in the classes. You will see there will be others will get into place. Sometimes all as teachers be united. All who's so and so in the class disturbs the teachers. We should not say that in my class nobody disturbs. We should be working together as a team. So if other 4 classes that student or students are disturbing, teachers should be united. What you can do, you have gone in the first period to teach English. You will tell them, ask that particular boy or girl, ask questions. What I have taught yesterday, what I am teaching now, finish. Next period, the maths teacher has gone to the class. You come up to the board and solve this question. Target that single boy or girl for 1-2 days. He will understand that all teachers are united together. So I must be quiet. If I disturb, the teachers will start disturbing me. If I irritate, all the teachers will start irritating me. You can try this out. Anyone with suggestions from any teachers regarding classroom management? You can speak there only. I am providing you the mic.
This was repeated question.
This is like the classroom we are here. Question will not be repeated. How will you manage a disturbed classroom? Line 2. Good classroom management technique.
if there is any disturbance in the class, at first already you have said that we should not shout. As students are shouting, we should not shout with them. We should keep quiet for few minutes. Automatically students will mark to teachers that why the teacher is not saying anything to us. So slowly you see the students also will be keeping quiet. So in this way you should do. And if any particular child is shouting or disturbing the class, then we should mark who is that boy or girl. Then we should give some punishment. As we cannot give any physical punishment, so we are giving like 10 sums or 20 sums or do this or do that. Thank you, miss.
Hello everyone. So, being on a teacher, what we can do, then we have to make ourselves happy also. If we are not happy, how can we make our class happy? So it will be that yes, we are trying, we are actually trying to make them happy, and that kind of time we will be an effective teacher. If we will make the class boring, then we will not learn that why is it happening? Why are you planning? Why she is unable to make us understand what we want to do? So that kind of time there will be a big question mark on everyone. So being a teacher, we have to make ourselves joyful, and we have to calm down ourselves. Doesn't matter in what situation we are, in what situation we are at our home. But when we are at the stage, when we are managing the students, we have to be happy all the time. So one best quality of an effective teacher is to always try to put a smile on your face. Thank you.
Maximize students' time and effort. We are preparing our lessons at the end of the week for the coming week. We are planning the syllabus. So we should manage time. My 5 chapters are there. I have to complete before this so and so examination. There, while when the time will come, we will be asking for some extra classes. I need extra class for this subject, I need some extra class for this. There are other teachers who have completed, they are willing to give the class, so the syllabus is completed. Now what happens? You are not planning your time. At the end, when the time is coming for the examinations, you rush with the subject or the chapters. So the way you have taught chapter 1, 2, 3, little bit of 4, chapter 5 is not taught in that way. It is hurriedly ended so that the question answers can be given and my syllabus will be over. So when you do your lesson plan, you know the number of days you are getting before so and so examinations. So that plan should be there in you. Students who attend school regularly read more and who do more homework do better in school. In the school diaries, provide them with some sort of homework. And this is true. If the student is regular to school, he or she will do better. Maybe full 40 minutes per period that child is not attentive. Their minds drift away. They are physically in the class but mentally they are somewhere else with their friends. But out of that 40 minutes, whatever little bit they have understood or had gone in their minds, that will be helpful for them. Or if regular basis homework is given, junior classes they are getting the homework, senior classes also regular basis. I have taught 2 pages today. So these 2 pages at least you read. And next day make it a point to ask, recapitulate what has been taught the previous day. And you will know very well which student will do the homework, who will read and who will not read. Next is achievement is the result of academic learning time. Students' achievement, education, whatever is there. But students' achievement is most important. Students' achievement, ultimately we see the result. In my school, so many 95%, Nothing was positive in that. The principal of the school is setting a deadline. You have to submit your project. Is he or she wrong? When that child will go to work in the corporate world, there he will not face deadlines. There it is said, don't run after marks. Marks will run after you. How marks will run after me? Marks will never run after me. I have to score good marks. Then only I can get admission in a good college. I have enjoyed education, I have enjoyed studies, but I have got 40%. No college will take the student. You enjoy, you don't enjoy, you get 90%, 95%, you will get admission in the college. So we have to motivate or make them think in a different way. Only the person who does the work learns. So make the students work. Make them work. Make them use their mind. As I gave you the example of the debate about the global warming and the land. So make the students learn, make the students use their mind. No need of rote learning in the classes. The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery. New things, new realizations. Like I gave you the examples of the word nepotism or the meaning of the supper or other things. So new art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery. New things they will be learning every day. You can teach a lesson for a day, but if you teach curiosity, you teach for a lifetime. The mediocre teacher tells, the good one explains, the superior one shows, and the great one inspires. We all are great teachers. We inspire. When we ask a question in the class, suppose we ask the student, what is the capital of New Delhi? Sorry, yes. What is the capital of India? The student will stand up and say, New Delhi. Teacher has used so many words. Why the student will answer only in one word or two words? So, to make them speak well, because we all CBSE schools are English medium schools. So to make them speak well, we must teach them to answer in full sentence. Teacher is using 2 lines, 3 lines for a question, and student is standing up and giving the answer in 1 or 2 words. Don't accept that. For example, again I will need 1 to volunteers here. A very short game we will be playing regarding this. I will be asking you some questions. You will be giving the answer in full sentence without using the word yes or no or nodding your head. You will not nod your head. You will not say yes. You will not say no. Anybody will come here first? From the back? From the back, I would like somebody to come up, please. Daily basis, simple questions will be asked. Please. School. Miss Divya Kumari, please come on. Full sentence.
I come from Vasudevnagar, Nagpur.
Are you liking this session over here today?
Yes.
No, you will not use the word yes, no. Okay. That is the trick. Tell me something about your place, the place you come from. Something about the place where you live. Okay, something about your school. I want full sentence answer.
My school is very
We have to play this game.
and our principal always guide her.
How did you come here? This Jharkhand Public School? How did you come?
By bicycle, by vehicles.
Bikers.
Yes.
Full sentence to be used. Did you enjoy your journey coming here?
Yes, I enjoy. No,
Without the yes, you have to say, I enjoyed the
I
journey.
enjoy.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Thank you very much for your support. I will be reading this letter out, and after that we will end the session. But before that, what Miss over there has pointed out about the joy, about the happiness in the class, that is very important. Can we do that? Monday morning, when we go to our school, can we stand by the classroom door and have a smile on our faces? Students will be surprised. They will turn and look back. At whom are they smiling? Ma'am is smiling for what reason today? Because they have never been received by this smile. As they are coming up the stairs, teachers on duty over there, one simple smile. Can we all do it on this Monday morning and continue this? So there is a beautiful letter written by Abraham Lincoln to his son's teacher. But I know that all men are not just, all men are not true, but teach him also that for every scoundrel there is a hero, that for every selfish politician there is a dedicated teacher. Teach him for every enemy there is a friend. Steer him away from envy if you can. Teach him the secret of quiet laughter. Let him learn early that the bullies are the easiest to lick. Teach him, if you can, the wonders of books, but also give him quiet time to ponder the eternal mystery of birds in the sky, bees in the sun, and flowers on the green hillside. In the school, teach him it is far honorable to fail than to cheat. Teach him to have faith in his own ideas, even if everyone tells him they are wrong. Teach him to be gentle with gentle people and tough with tough people. Try to give my son the strength not to follow the crowd when everyone is getting on the bandwagon. Teach him to listen to all men, but teach him also to filter all he hears on a screen of truth and take only the good that comes through. Teach him, if you can, how to laugh when he is sad. Teach him there is no shame in tears. Teach him to scoff at cynics and beware of too much sweetness. Teach him to sell his brawn and brain to the highest bidders, but never to put a price tag on his heart and soul. Teach him to close his ears to a howling mob and to stand and fight if he thinks he is right. Teach him gently, but do not cuddle him, because only the test of fire makes fine steel. Let him have the courage to be impatient. Let him have the patience to be brave. Teach him always to have sublime faith in himself, because then he will have sublime faith in mankind. This is a big order, but see what you can do. He is such a fine fellow, my son. Please complete the activity too. Thank you, teachers.
Astronomy. Those who are biology teachers or those who are science teachers, rather science teachers, I think they will be able to do justice with the word taxonomy. So any biology teacher, please raise your hand. Let me see.
Plants and animals is called taxonomy.
Biological taxonomy.
Biological taxonomy.
Like classification of animals and
taxonomy, there also, there is taxonomy. Taxonomy is not only limited to biology or zoology or botany, of course, to an extent chemistry. It is there in the education sector also. Now, 1950 or a little before 1950 also, lot of research on education went on in USA. But one of the most prominent psychologists who did this particular work, back then, if you see, Benjamin Bloom, born in 1913 and he passed away in 1999. Okay, now a Jewish American psychologist. America is full of Jews, and Jews are supposed to be very intelligent people. A very important Jewish person, anybody can say, apart from Benjamin Bloom. Albert Einstein, yes sir. Psylocke. What's Psylocke? Acha, Martin Luther says Psylocke. Great, yes. The Jews are very intelligent people. Albert Einstein. You have heard about Richard Spielberg, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, the director of the film Jurassic Park. He is a Jew. Okay, we are not interested in that. So, an avid reader, a curious researcher, and a Jewish American psychologist. The psychologists basically they do what? They study the human reactions. They study the human nature, the human behavior, how human beings react at different situations, what results come out. This is basically the work of a psychologist. We sometimes think that psychologists are also people who deal with mentally retarded people. There is a common thinking. Okay, psychologist is a person who deals with mentally retarded people or like that or something like that. It's not exactly like that. Psychologists are people who study deep inside the human brain and try to bring out what exactly the brain is, what exactly the brain does, and what results we get out of it. That is the primary one. And in education, psychology works a lot. If we really dive deep into the education, if we really dive deep into the teaching processes, the learning processes, then the road is endless. We just limit ourselves within certain areas, but the road is endless. So we will see what Benjamin Bloom has to say and tell us about his taxonomy. What is the objective of our study? To enable participants to help you all to frame instructional objectives on the basis of revised Bloom's taxonomy and understand its use in assessment. We will see Bloom's taxonomy, we will also see revised Bloom's taxonomy, and the paper that you have got with you, that we have given you, is actually dealing with revised Bloom's taxonomy. Nowadays, maximum school work is done on the basis of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy, the one which Benjamin Bloom framed, that is still there, but it was revised, and we are more focusing on the revised Bloom's taxonomy. But the name still goes on as Bloom's taxonomy. So we will understand what are the objectives on the basis of which revised Bloom's taxonomy is understood and used in the assessment. Now definition, what is this? Bloom's taxonomy is a classification system. Now we are coming to the exact words which are needed to describe it. Bloom's taxonomy is a classification system used to define and distinguish different levels of human cognizance, that is human thinking, different levels of human cognizance. So it is a system. Systematically, a taxonomy is a classification system. Classify them, tell them in detail, used to define and distinguish. Remember two words, define and distinguish, separate. Okay, separation is also very important. Different level of human cognizance and human thinking. What are the three things that we generally have? We think. Thinking, learning, understanding. We think of something. I am thinking this as a bottle. I am thinking this as a bottle. Somebody has told me that this is called bottle. What exactly it is? What is its function? What it is made of? I don't know. I have been taught to think. Later, I will learn more about it. Somebody will put more information
information to me about this in the latter part. That is when I start learning. What is learning? Learning is when we dive deep into what has been informed to us and try to extract results out of it. That is what is learning. And after learning, we try to understand. After learning, we want to understand. Understanding means you keep it with yourself. You keep it in your mind. If somebody asks you to explain, you can explain it clearly. That is what understanding. Until and unless we don't understand the facts, we will never be able to learn. If we are not able to learn, we will never be able to think. So thinking is the first step, followed by understanding and learning and understanding. Sorry. Now, domains of human learning. Okay, domains of learning or domains of human learning, or the domains and areas of learning. What are the three domains of learning? Now, the head, where actually the brain is there. First, we apply the brain, which is known as the cognitive domain. The cognitive domain, the brain.